Do you like to live dangerously? Today, we're going to be talking about some risks that we've taken that have paid off. Hi, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Tasha with One Big Happy Life, and we make videos about how to find balance, build wealth, and live happy. Everything that you need to create the life that you want. So if you are all about living life on your own terms, then we make videos just for you. So go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss a single one.
Okay, today we're going to be talking about taking some risks, and specifically risks that we've taken that have actually worked out really well, and we would definitely do again in a heartbeat.
And I think this is going to be sort of a common theme that you're going to see in a lot of our videos coming up. This thing about fear and how to not let that stop you from living the life that you want to live. Obviously, part of that is spurred by the fact that I am getting ready to leave my lawyer job behind and become an entrepreneur and work on One Big Happy Life full time and focus on growing our business. And we've got some really ambitious goals when it comes to our business that we're going to be talking all about in upcoming videos over the next months and years. So stay tuned. But risks, let's talk about them.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about fear. And I certainly was very scared and worried about what I was going to do when I started to pick my law school, looking at how much student loans I was going to be taking out. And so taking out a massive amount of debt to go to school is a big risk because ultimately you've got to pay that back one way or another. But if you have a plan going in, which is exactly what we did, and we thought long and hard about, okay, so these are all their different options, you plan it out, and then you take the calculated risk to hopefully come out as much, much better on the end. And that worked out for us.
Yeah, I mean, even before, so obviously, if you're new here, if this is the first video you've seen of us, so Joseph and I both have 6 figures worth of student debt. I think, Joseph, you have what, 200 and something thousand?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and now I have 160,000. My student loans have been going down, if anyone's been paying attention. But Joseph and I both had the same plan after law school, even though we didn't even know each other, which was to go into public interest and do public service loan forgiveness. Because, I don't know how Joseph first learned about it, but I first learned about public service loan forgiveness when I was reading my master promissory note, which is the thing that actually creates your student loan debt, where you sign on the dotted line and then they give you the money. It's a contract. So all of your debts contain ways, lists how you can pay the debts off and penalties and how your payments are calculated and all of that. And one of the terms in there was public service loan forgiveness. And so I was like, oh, sweet. So if I decide I don't want to go to a firm, I can go do public interest work and not have to worry about having to pay all of these massive loans off because there's this option here for me to do this other thing. So that's the plan that I had in place that I was going to do after law school, in addition to also choosing a law school that repays my loans for me. So I have yet to pay any money towards my student loans.
Yeah, so similarly, I learned about it by watching the news, reading the news, and then looked further into it. And so I placed a high value on positions that would be qualifying for public service loan forgiveness, and other private positions would have to pay that much more to be able to take me out of this realm that I was thinking of, the public service loan forgiveness that I thought as this kind of safe area that was definitely going to be able to pay my loans off without ripping my hair out and worrying about it or anything like that.
And so not only did our student loans help us get our law degrees that helped us get jobs, that we both have 6-figure public interest jobs. So we make really good money. We've amassed over $400,000. If we stayed in our current careers and our current jobs, we would still be multimillionaires at retirement. So our student loans have clearly set us and our children up to build wealth and intergenerational wealth. But it's also given us the ability to create this business because Joseph and I, both undergrad and then law school, have had finance-focused careers. So I've been a banking and consumer finance attorney for 8 years. Joseph does real estate-based finance, and we both have finance undergrads, which allow us to be able to do the types of content that we do and go in depth in the way that we do, and have our personal finance community, Wealth Builders Academy, where we're teaching other people to build wealth. So it's paid off in so many ways beyond just our personal income.
Okay, now let's talk about something a little bit different. Big risks at the home front. So we have bought a lot of houses between the two of us. She buys houses all the time. But every time it has worked out really, really well, even when we've owned houses for a short period of time. I guess you can go through kind of your biggest.
The biggest? Okay. So I'll say the two. So my first two houses were definitely the biggest. Okay. So my first house I owned for about a year, and I made $14,000 off of the sale of that house. I was in a very hot market. This was just before, like a few years before the bubble popped. So DC was just going crazy. And then I bought my second house, and I used some of that money as a down payment on that house. And I owned that house for 2 years, and I made $50,000 off of the sale of that house. And I got out of it right before the bubble popped and housing prices crashed. So that was super lucky. But, so in the span of 3 years, I made $65,000 off of real estate, which I then squandered because I knew nothing about managing money properly.
Yeah, I mean, traditional wisdom is you don't buy a house unless you are going to live there for 3 to 5 years. And that's kind of like the rule of thumb to kind of protect yourself from those market swings. But I think what has helped us the most is making sure that we're buying in an area that has really good schools. And the good schools act as their own stabilizer in home prices. So when I bought my first house, I actually lucked out because I was more looking for a great deal on the house. So I bought a foreclosure. And so I got a good deal on the house up front. And I think that really helped in the end, making, I don't know, what we made, like $25,000 or so on it. But why it was able to sell so well was because it just happened that I picked a place in a good school district. So I got the best of both worlds in that sense because I got a good deal on the foreclosure side, but then I also had a stable market around there because there were strong schools.
And then the fourth house we bought, which is the first house that we purchased together, we were able to sell, just a year and a half later, and we made something like $20,000 off of that. And all of that went to pay down divorce debt that we had before we met each other. But that one, we searched a long time until we found a house that was a great value and in a great school district. So it definitely, like Joseph said, school district is key. So the house that we live in now, this is the longest I've ever lived in a house. And so we've lived in it 4 years now, and it's definitely been appreciating if you watch our net worth updates. But from the very beginning, we also got a great price on this house so that if we had needed to sell a year after, we absolutely could have sold this house and walked out. Oh, and by the way, I should point out, I have never paid a down payment on a house until this house. And we definitely didn't put anywhere. We didn't even put we put 5% down on this house and could have walked away, got our money back and everything within a year of owning this house. So yeah, that's Joseph. And Joseph's been always really skeptical about buying houses and knowing that I want to move, but we've done really well so far with that.
Yeah, I am a little hesitant. I still stick to the 3 to 5 year thing. I hold that as my safe haven, but it has worked out. So I can't just, fly in the face of all that evidence that if we follow these other rules, we can do pretty well.
Okay, so number 3, I have taken a pay cut to take a new job, to take my dream job, actually. And I recorded all of that in the earlier videos in this channel, me hunting for the job, finding the job, being so disappointed that they didn't want to pay me what I knew that I was worth. But I was in a job that I absolutely hated, and I knew that this was going to be a great job for me. So I took the jump, we took the hit financially, and it's been amazing. I've really enjoyed the work that I've been doing. I've really enjoyed my coworkers, and I've made that $20,000 and then some back in salary. So my salary has increased the amount and more than the amount that I had to decrease in order to get my foot in the door. And so it just goes to show you that You know, you just need to have confidence in yourself. Like I knew, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to rock it. You know, I'm going to make sure that I do whatever it takes to get promoted and to get my money back. And that's exactly what I did. And frankly, I'm on track to be promoted again next year, and I'm leaving, even though I would have gotten promoted and gotten another, you know, $10,000 or so pay bump. And it's because, you know, I want to work in my own business.
Okay, now something that isn't all about the numbers. So a huge risk that paid off the biggest was our relationship. So it was a really, really big deal for us to get together. I mean, mainly because of me. So I'm a little bit younger, hadn't really had any long relationships, and I did not have any kids. No parenting experience whatsoever.
Yeah, so I was really concerned that Joseph would not be able to like handle a long-term relationship, because I think, how long had your how long your marriage was, what, 2 years or something?
Well, yeah, so we were like around 3 years. That's it.
That's the
So,
longest
everything,
relationship Joseph has ever had.
Well, not anymore.
Well, not anymore, not until me. But yeah, he didn't have any children, so I didn't know what his parenting skills would be like. He didn't have a budget, so I didn't know like how managing money would go with him and setting financial goals and all of that. And so to me, he didn't have that much life experience. So I was really nervous about being in a long-term relationship with him. But he was very responsible in other ways that I really loved. Like he knew how to change car tires and like change oil on a car and do things around the house. Like he was very much like a homebody, home care kind of guy. And so, you know, we just kind of played it by ear, and here we are.
Yeah, and realistically, I think if Alexis had absolutely hated me,
that'd have been a no.
And I mean, like, she was very, very cautious, and like understandably so. But I mean, once we got on really good terms, because obviously I really like to play with the kids.
He does.
Like just all the time. And so she and I really got along once she realized, hey, you know, Dad will play with me. And so
yeah, I think one of the things that he did, there were things that he did bit by bit that helped reassure me. And on one of our dates, he asked me if I thought he'd be a good dad. And the way that he asked it, like you could tell that he really wanted me to be able to say yes. Like it was important to him. And then I remember it was just like Alexis's birthday. He was already thinking about, well, what am I going to get her? Meanwhile, I had been married to a guy that never bought one of her birthday presents. I always had to be the one to buy everything and wrap everything. And so here it was, this guy I was dating was like, hey, what should I get Alexis for her birthday? And I was just like, you know, I think he could be a keeper. So reservations aside, obviously it's paid off, and for both of us, and it's been awesome.
Definitely.
So number 5 is a risk that hasn't paid off yet, but we're pretty sure that it will. Like we feel really confident, which is me quitting my job. Like I'm quitting my job as a lawyer. I'm going to work full time on One Big Happy Life with the goal of growing it to a 7-figure business within the next 5 years. That is my goal. We're already at multiple 6. And my goal is, now that I'm no longer working, the focus will be 7 figures now. And also bringing Joseph home to work on the business once his student loans are forgiven. And, you know, I think it's just the next really big, awesome move for our family.
Yeah, and she was hinting at this earlier. And although she hasn't actually quit yet, it's imminent, it's happening.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I put in my notice. It's a done deal, guys.
Yeah, but I think the key to why we're so comfortable and confident in taking this risk as well as some of the others is really the planning in place and looking at all of the options, looking at all the information that we possibly can to make the best decisions.
Yeah.
And they don't always work out. Every little risk that you take won't be exactly what you thought. And in fact, you know, none of these are exactly what we might have planned out, but it still worked out really, really well because we made the best decision that we could with the information that we had at the time.
All right, challenge, guys, down below, tell us, what risks are you going to be taking that you were on the fence about before watching this video? Let us know down in the comments. And by the way, if you are interested in starting your own business, now a lot of you have asked me about this, and so yes, I am going to be doing a small, intimate mastermind to help people scale their business to 6 figures and beyond. So if you are interested, you can head on over to onebighappylife.com/coaching and apply to join the mastermind.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. Do you like to live dangerously? Today, we're going to be talking about some risks that we've taken that have paid off.
Highway to the danger zone. We can't use that.